All right, Leroy, let's go out to the guest line, man. We are very excited to talk to our next guest, Luther Campbell. Uncle Luke joining us here on the show. Big honor for Uncle Luke is happening tonight, Leroy, at Charles Hadley Park. He is getting a field named after him, man. Luther Campbell Field is going to be unveiled tonight. Uncle Luke, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's a really cool honor, man. When did you find out this was going to happen?
Man, I found out about a couple of months ago that the commissioners, were going to honor me. The Commissioner Watson, as well as the mayor, wanted to do this, and it was amazing.
Pretty cool, Leroy. Getting the name.
It is, but to me, down here, when you say youth sports, you have to say Luther Campbell. So it's only fitting that in some way, shape, or form, his name is on something that would indicate the commitment that he's made to the young people and the youth in sports. You say youth sports in Miami, you got to say Luther Campbell. And I'm not even from Miami, and I know this.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So is this one of those things, Uncle Luke, like as far as honors are concerned, like where does this rank? Like you've had so many great things happen in your life, but to have something like this, because you've done so much community outreach, where does this one go in the pantheon for you?
Man, it goes way up there. It goes right behind my Supreme Court win. Goes, from my first child. It's up there because, I was that kid that was bused to Miami Beach to play organized football from Liberty City, to know our optimists and play at Miami Beach High, and we didn't have opportunities like we have right now at the park. So I always said once I get 2 cents over my lunch break, I'm going to start a youth program at my park, Charles Hadley Park, the park that I grew up on. And, that's 31 years ago, we were able to do that. And so, to be able to have my name put on the actual field is, it's amazing. It's amazing. I always tell everybody else, things don't happen overnight. Just go do the work. Just put the work in. Don't worry about any accolades because I don't do it for accolades. I just do it to try and save lives in my community.
Is it Uncle Luke, when you see just the amount of success that South Florida is having on the NFL stage, like you watch like a Lamar Jackson shine like he did last night, and like every night, like the list goes on and on about the guys who are out there and just shining every single Sunday. Like, does it blow your mind like how many guys are still just going out there and starring in the NFL year after year after year from this part of the world?
Well, it's not a mind-blowing thing for me because I see it. When you're at our program, Liberty City Optimists, you see it. You see it at 4 years old. I saw Duke Johnson do what he did on the NFL stage at the University of Miami at 4 years old. Saw Chad Johnson at our program do it. We saw Levante Davis. We saw him do it at our park. We saw, the list goes on. Sharpton, McGahee. The list goes on of kids that came out of our program, and other programs that are in the greater Miami area. And there are a whole bunch of kids right now that perform at that same level that we know that has that it factor in. I saw Lamar Jackson. I saw Lamar Jackson play in a high school game against Miami Central at Trash Plow Stadium. And I called up Coley, who was the offensive coordinator at University of Miami at the time, and say, you got to get this guy. This guy is special. And knowing the small community of coaches around here, we know who has that it, because those kids are urban, they're urban hood legends.
These guys are coming down to get the talent down here. I look at it more like a lot of these guys tell the story of I wanted to go to Miami and Miami didn't offer me a scholarship. I mean, what do you like?
You're absolutely, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I've been doing a college tour for almost 15 years now. People just noticed it last year, But the thing is, my college tour on my college tour, I had Artie Burns. He eventually went to Miami. I had to force them, call him out. But on that same bus was Amari Cooper. And I took Amari Cooper, and we always stopped at Miami first. We go there first, and Miami didn't want Amari Cooper. They wanted Herb Waters. They said they had already offered a receiver. And I'm sitting in the room with Al Golden, even with my good friend Randy Shannon as the head coach. They didn't want Devontae Freeman. I took him on the college tour. There was another kid that came out of my youth program that I coached since he was 8 years old. They said he was too short. And when he went to Florida State, everybody was like, oh, you're a traitor. Luke, they didn't want these guys. They didn't want Chad Johnson. They didn't want Levante Davis. Levante Davis, the year that they took 7 kids from Miami Northwestern, they left Levante Davis. I went down there screaming and saying, he's the best one out of all of them. And they were like, no, Sean Spence is, which Sean Spence was a great football player. But just like you say, I got a kid right now, Nathaniel Joseph. I mean, probably he sits right there, when you coach Cooper and you see that, and you see another kid similar to that, on that level, it's like first thing you do is you get on the phone with the University of Miami, and they say, no, this current staff, no, we don't think he's good enough. And then he signs up with Clemson, in Alabama, and Nick Saban says he reminds him of the Miami Dolphins first round pick. He says that in the media. And so we don't take these kids. It's sad. It's just like you say, these kids want to go to Miami. They're born and raised wanting to go to Miami. Unfortunately, it's like playing football in the park. You got 25 picks, and you as a coaching staff make the decision who you want to pick with those 25 scholarships that you have for that year. And a lot of times, I mean, T.Y. Hilton, I begged and pleaded with them. T.Y. Hilton's dad is a good friend of mine, currently coaches at Gwen Cherry Park right now. We saw that in T.Y., what you see right now. And they said they didn't want him. So it's not like kids don't want to go there. And it's sad that people crucify these kids when they go somewhere else as well as their coaches. They got to go somewhere. They got to go get an education and play somewhere else. We just don't do it.
We're talking to Luther Campbell, who is going to have his field, Luther Campbell Field, unveiled today, Charles Hadley Park at 6 p.m. if you guys want to be there to check it out. Yeah, Uncle Luke, this has obviously been a time for Miami, too, where, it's been off to a rough start this year. And now, the president is coming out and having to defend how much they care about the program. As a guy who, just has so much love in the past for the University of Miami, what do you make of where things are right now between the coaching staff that they got, the relationship that the president is trying to depict that he has with the school, the athletic program, all of it, and the status of everything that's going on right now with the Hurricanes?
Well, it's sad. I mean, it's sad for more reasons than one. It's sad from the standpoint that the coach is totally underachieving and he's not been fired a long time ago. It's sad that the athletic director is allowing the program to go down so bad. Nobody's not doing their job. I mean, Julio Franks is not holding the athletic director accountable. The athletic director is not holding the head coach accountable. The athletic director had an opportunity of hiring an NFL executive in Alonzo Highsmith in the community, and some of the boosters wanted it. So what they did a cover-up and hire Ed Reed, put him in an office, never asked him a question. And these are people that I talk to on a consistent basis. What are you doing, Ed? I'm doing nothing. I'm just sitting in the office. So that was a big, let everybody be quiet. We'll just get Ed Reed because we don't want an overseer and Highsmith who's going to tell us, try and help us keep our jobs. It's sad in more ways than one, that we have a coach, that has all these children coaching. I mean, one of my nephews who went to Alabama, he wanted to come to Miami. But I always tell all our kids, look, evaluate who's on the staff, evaluate that coach who's going to be coaching you in that room. Don't worry about the head coach or who's that guy going to be coaching you in the room. And if these developed guys go to the NFL, that's the school you should go to. And when he looked at the list, when he looked at the coaches that was going to potentially be developing him at University of Miami, those guys had nobody on their resume that they even got in the NFL because there were guys who either just got out of high school or were GAs who, for the first time in their life, coaching. I mean, go down the list, look at the staff. The staff is horrible, in more ways than one. People don't point that out. What experience? You got guys on your staff never coached a Pop Warner game before, and you expect to beat Alabama, you expect to develop these kids? That just don't happen overnight. Coaching is something else. It's difficult. I've been doing it for 17 years, and it's very, very difficult. You got to know these kids inside out, what makes them tick. You got to know how to deal with their parents. So to just come out the street and be a coach at the University of Miami is horrible. So that's why they're underachieving in so many ways. And then you got to know football players. You can't just depend on the stars. I mean, I asked Nick Saban when he offered Amari Cooper, I say, let me ask you, why are you offering him? He had 200 yards in his 11th grade year. He doesn't have any stars. Why are you offering him? He said, I don't offer stars. I know football players. And that's what you get in old head coaches and coaches who know the difference between guys who chase stars and try to be ESPN top 5 recruiting class. Those guys know football players, and that's why they're going to be always successful.
Man, so Luther, you're telling me that you've heard with the Ed Reed thing, like they don't let Ed Reed do anything, like they brought him in as this chief of staff, and they're not letting the chief. They're not letting him do anything.
No, Ed Reed for years wasn't doing anything.
Oh.
I can tell you that. I don't know. I haven't talked to him this season, but the previous season he wasn't doing nothing. He had his playbook sitting in his office. Nobody came in the office. It was almost like he was isolated, and that's a fact. I don't talk fiction.
That bums me out.
He was sitting in his office. It was like, yo, I got my playbook. Nobody came in here. I actually told Bubba dad. This off season when he decided that he wanted to stay at the school. I told Bubba dad and told Bubba and tell your son, go in there and get all the information you can get out of him. I asked him, has your son talked to Ed Reed? No, yeah, he hasn't been talking to him. We don't know what Ed does. I said, look, tell your son, go in that room and get all the information you can get out of Ed. Follow Ed everywhere in that building and get the information that you can get him if your son decides to go back. And so I know right now that Bubba is talking to him, but as far as the Manny and all, look, the way I look at, I like Manny, but the way I look at Manny is he wants to have a bunch of people who don't know more than him around him in that room. And when you have that as a head coach, that's a problem. Look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban's always going to get him a former head coach as his offensive coordinator and a top-of-the-line defensive coordinator. He's not the smartest guy in the room. He gets guys that are just as smart as him. He just manages his team a lot better. Look at the list of offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators that he's had on his staff year after year after year, and they're going to outcoach guys in the NCAA. Like me, if I go back to Pop Warner coaching, I'm going to outcoach them all day because I've coached so many years on high school level and it's been successful. So it's like taking candy from a baby. And those are things that coaches don't understand. But if you want to be the smartest guy in the room, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to not be the most successful one.
Well, Luke, let me ask you this. Is this a Manny thing or a University of Miami thing that they don't give him the resources to go out and get whatever coach he wants? Because these big universities, they have the bank to go out and hire the guys, and they got offense and defensive coordinators making $1.5 million, $1 million. The university, do they have the resources to do that, or is Manny just not hiring those guys?
Manny is not hiring those guys.
Okay.
I myself personally have coaches call me up, say, I want to come down there. Here's another thing that a lot of people don't look at. There are coaches who lose their job in the NCAA top of the line coaches every year. Those coaches are still getting paid from those schools. For instance, I had a coach, T. Martin. T. Martin just lost a job at USC. T. Martin said, look, I'm making $2 million already, $1 million something from USC. I'll be getting that for a couple of years. I'll come coach at Miami for $50,000. I get on the phone and call these guys up and say, you got an opportunity to get in there. He said, I'll coach there in any kind of capacity. The other part of that, most people, top of the line coaches, I'll go through some other list of other names. Guys want to coach. Listen to this clearly. Guys want to coach at places where they can elevate themselves. Miami is a place that you can go and coach because you're going to have great talent, and you won't be there but for a couple of years. And you're going to go either get a defense coordinator job or you're going to go and get a head coach job, similar to what happens at Alabama. So guys want to coach there. A good friend of mine, he's defensive back coach at Michigan right now. He was at Kentucky. I coach at Miami because I know I was defense coordinator at Cincinnati, and at Miami, if I got the defensive backs, I can then go and probably get back as a defense coordinator. Get on the phone, call this guy, and he says no. So it's not about the money of guys going to coach. Guys go coach at Alabama, LSU for free because they know that's going to catapult them up to getting that coordinator job or head coaching job. Similar to what happened to Huff. He was the running back coach at Alabama. Huff goes to Marshall, now he's the head coach. And he was just a running back coach. The running back coach at North Carolina, he's the running back coach when we got gashed. He was the current coach by the running backs. They gashed us for 500 yards. Where is he coaching right now? He's now coaching at Alabama. So Nick Saban, people like that, I ask Nick, because I'm always talking to him and other coaches about their coaches. Says I use the Howard Snellenberger blueprint. I'm always going to use that. Like really. So coaching too. Say you got to remember Howard Snellenberger when he got Gary Stevens when he got let go by the Miami Dolphins, and that's who really turned Miami offense and football program up into something special. Randy Shannon was coaching at the Miami Dolphins when he got hired. Look at all these NFL coaches that coach at the University of Miami. We don't have that anymore. And so guys want to go there. It's not about the money. It's about the money when you go into Appalachian State, or it's about the money when you go into Arkansas. Yeah, but they want to come to places where they know I'm just going to go there for 2 years and I'm going to go, and get me a job. I mean, a guy, Corey Bell. Corey Bell is on the Florida staff. Look how many kids that got drafted that he recruited when he coached at Florida before he went to UCF. And how many kids that got drafted at UCF that he recruited and developed. And this is a hometown guy that has been begging Manny to come back to Miami to coach because this is where he's from. No. So he has coaches. I can give you a list because every one of them that call me, I call him, that would do anything to work at University of Miami.
Go check it out at Charles Hadley Park. Luther Campbell Field is getting unveiled tonight, 6 p.m. Uncle Luke, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hey, no doubt, man. Y'all have a good day.
All right.
All right.